The FIA Formula 2 Championship returns to action for the final 2 race weekends of the 2025 season. Welcome to the Losail International Circuit, usually home of MotoGP, but for the last few seasons, Formula 1 has made this town its home. Welcome to the start of a duel in the desert double to crown an F2 champion. Hello everybody, welcome up to the commentary box. We're almost all set to go then for this afternoon's first practice session. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. So, here we go. It's been 67 days since the Formula 2 calendar was last in action in Azerbaijan in Baku. The championship is as hot as ever. Who exactly is going to be victorious? That is a question that everybody keeps asking. Leonardo Forlaroli, though, still impressive at the top. It looks like so much of a formality coming into it. We are really going to be surprised to see who's going to be on it. Omi's going to be with us this weekend in the commentary box for all of the action, alongside as well the usual roster of team. JT will be around in the pit lane. And hopefully we're going to be in for a very strong weekend. The session is about to get underway. Cars are about to head out onto the track for all of the action for today's running. So let's, without further ado, send it downstairs as the green light will go on. And we will be underway for FIA Formula 2 with 2 rounds to go. Forlaroli leads on 188 points to Crawford on 169. Browning on 161. Verschoor on 151. It's anybody's title. Let's cross over. Welcome to the Losail International Circuit for round 13 of the FIA Formula 2 World Championship. Well, here we go then. 2 weekends left to crown a champion in what has been the longest season in Formula 2 history. Forlaroli leading from Crawford, Browning and Verschoor, 188 to 151 points. Today, they do battle around a 5.419 kilometre circuit. The sprint race will be 23 laps, the feature race will be 32. Elevation change at 4.2 metres, the turns are 16, the lap record of 137.997 set by Ollie Behrman last year. Doha in Qatar is the destination. Tyre compounds, well, hard was 23 lap, medium 7 lap. That was set on the alternate strategy. It's a low downforce to high downforce circuit, brake wear 2. Tyre usage is at a high. Fuel consumption, though, on the low side. And believe it or not, that is a miracle considering what this circuit is like. Good morning, everybody. Welcome up into the commentary box. Here we go then. Formula 2 will get underway. Victor Martin's out there on the circuit along with Vito Miata, Jack Crawford, Sebastian Montoya, Gabriel Mini, Luke Browning, Ollie Goethe, Roman Stanek now leaving the pit lane. Now all cars officially on a run here. As I said, Forlaroli on 188 points, Crawford 169, Browning 161, Verschoor 151. Still points on the board. Let's check in with our boys.
Still in mathematical contention for the championship. Pepe Marti would be too if he was continuing on this season, but we'll come to the new drivers in just a moment. And they've got 2 really tough little racetracks in order to sort this championship out. Here in Losail and then finale in Abu Dhabi to go.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Leo Fornaroli leading the championship, and he is one of 10 drivers who has not previously raced at this track, one of 2 of the top 5 who has not either, along with Alex Dunn. So he has a 19-point lead, as you mentioned, over Jack Crawford. He's 27 ahead of Luke Browning, 37 ahead of Richard Verschoor. You have 39 points available of a Formula 2 race weekend, and 58 ahead over Alex Dunn, who's had 2 very difficult race weekends. Luke Browning previously raced here last year. Here we can see Alex Dunn now back to the Rodin Motorsport livery as well. An uphill battle for him if he's going to win this championship. Nothing to lose approach for the Irishman.
As with all of these drivers, he'll be looking to demonstrate his ability through the rest of this season and see what next year brings for him, whether it's another season of Formula 2 or whether he'll get an option somewhere else. As you mentioned, now not in the textbook papaya of McLaren, but still out there and able to deliver, putting a scrub on this set of hard compound tyres that's set across as the prime from the option, which will be, for the first time here in Qatar, the soft compound this weekend, which I think is a really bold tyre choice in what is a tyre torturer of a 16-turn racetrack. It's going to be really, really tough for these drivers and the tyres throughout this weekend.
Yeah, it is a big compound jump. 2 of the top 5 have finished on the podium here, including Jack Crawford and Richard Verschoor. Let's hear first then, shall we, in practice, from the American Jack Crawford about these last 2 rounds.
Yeah, super excited for this weekend and also for next weekend, which will be my last in Formula 2, which is sad because I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to finishing these 2 rounds on a high. Of course, we want to try and win the championship, and we're going to do everything that we can to try and do it.
Jack Crawford, as he mentioned there, looking forward to these last 2 rounds. He's been confirmed as the 3rd driver for Aston Martin next year, so a weight off his shoulders in that sense, Alex, but he'll still want to go into next season as the reserve Aston Martin driver as a Formula 2 champion.
People still remember the result from your Formula 2 campaign. The winner, of course, back in Baku, has been twice more a winner throughout this Formula 2 season, 3 times more, I should say, a winner throughout this Formula 2 season. Jack Crawford, as he builds a little bit of tyre temperature to get a feel for this circuit in the early stages of free practice. We check in, though, with our championship leader.
Let's hear from Leo Fornaroli now about how he's feeling going into these final rounds.
I'm feeling good. Finally, we're here for the last 2 races. There's been a very long break since Baku. I'm feeling a bit like last year when I was fighting for the championship in Formula 3. But anyway, I will be still proud because we had a very good season with Invicta. We had a lot of special moments, so I will hope to finish on a high, and I will give my best.
We talked about...
Yeah, looking forward to giving his best as they're out there on the circuit. No times officially set yet, with 38 minutes to go in this only free practice session. Formula 2 following the run of Formula 1 this weekend with everything, so we'll have a total of 1 session each of practice. Then we go straight into qualifying this afternoon. Tomorrow it's a sprint race for both F2 and F1, plus the F1 qualifying. Sunday, feature races for both F2 and F1. It's going to be quite the excitement. The Losail International Circuit, though, it's going to be a bit different for Formula 2 because some of their races will take place during the day, some will take place during the night. So getting it right is a bit tricky, but the whole circuit changed over a couple of years ago from the MotoGP days, but it looks absolutely fantastic. We are watching right now out the circuit. Luke Browning's done a 40.1 in that first sector, and now he's slowed right down. He's on the hard compound tyres, as I said earlier. Track wear is at a massive high. Let's hear from him.
I'm ready. I can't wait. Excited is the wrong word. I'm just enjoying being here. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to go for the title. So to be here, my first year of Formula 2 is a really special place to be. With a big thanks to everyone around me that supported me, and I just want to do the best that I can rounding off these next 2 rounds. I'm not into doing anything desperate, but obviously the goal is there to win the championship, and it's definitely still possible.
It definitely is still possible. Luke Browning running 3rd in the championship on 161 points as well. He has the advantage to move up, of course, this season. 6 points in the sprint race back in Melbourne. No points, of course, to anyone in the feature race, but then the sprint race in Bahrain and scored 19 points in. Shakir got him on the board as well. But looking at this, he had Monza feature race victory, making his only win this season coming into it, but he's just been remarkably consistent across the points paying positions compared to Forlaroli, though. He too happens to be 51's winner in Budapest. Only one win and he leads the championship as well. It's been a mixed up, crazy year here for FIA Formula 2. Martins selling some Delta times. Crawford's top though, 142.715. Clanshields is second. Moving in as well, he's on a 151.626, so some benchmarkers are being set, but no official big runs at the moment.
Turn 15 through turn 16, which is one they're going to have to watch out for in qualifying. That gravel strip on the left-hand side there is new for this year on the exit of turn 16. Could ruin the lap you're on, and indeed the next one if they decide to push on.
Yeah, absolutely. There has been some new additions to the circuit, some new gravel traps added around, which will make qualifying that little bit more different. If you're new to Formula 2, if you've been introduced to us from what is an intense championship fight coming in towards the end of this season, we reversed the top 10 for the sprint race. So it's all about getting in that top 10. If you're not in it, you are heavily punished, as we now pick up a championship leader here, Leo Fornaroli from Victor, trying to replicate what Gabriel Bortoletto did in winning the Formula 3 title with Trident and then winning it with Invicta back to back. He's just now making his way up towards turn 15 now, the very fast left-hander which takes you towards the final corner.
Certainly is. 23 laps for the sprint race here. 32 laps for the feature race. It's a long way to go on the tyre as Fornaroli makes his way out of the final corner. A momentary jump up to the top of the standings for Lawrence van Hoopen there, who continues in the Trident this weekend.
Shall we come on to the new drivers? I think that was a nice segue to do so. Let's do it, shall we?
I do try.
Yes, let's do it. We've been talking about the championship fights. We'll do this replay first. Kush Mining.
Is he going to be the first taker for our new gravel trap?
Yeah, at the exit, Kushmani running wide, taking too much speed in and just getting loose at the exit. So got to be very careful there not to do that in the future. But 34 minutes to go, he's looking good so far.
We have Martinius Stenshorn, who is going to be one of 13 drivers confirmed for next season. We'll come on to that afterwards, but he is going to be with us for the final 2 rounds, albeit in different colours. He had a great debut with Trident. The results might not suggest on paper that it was as good as it was, but Martinius Stenshorn did an absolutely fantastic job with Trident, and he's going to be joining the grid with Rodin next year. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
It's always good to get a little bit of a head start. You know, working with some new people, everything needs to be learned. So yeah, looking forward to this weekend. Of course, drawing back as well. It went very well. Not the end result, but the speed was there, and I had a lot of fun. So hoping to continue that this weekend.
So Martinius Stenshorn is going to be with us in the final 2 rounds with Rodin, the team he'll be with next season. Great to have Martinius Stenshorn continuing on for the remainder of the season. Let's go through some of the other drivers then. Lawrence van Hoopen, who was with us at Baku with Trident, is going to be back for the final 2 rounds. We have James Wharton, who is on the Formula 3 grid next season with Prema as Crawford runs wide. He's going to be racing with Prema next season in Formula 3. He is competing in this round with Trident in a vacancy. And then Nicholas Solov, the Bulgarian, who will race with Campos next season. is going to be doing the final 2 rounds with them. He is a Red Bull Junior, so those are the 4 changes of note. Some exciting new faces there, Alex.
Second position this year in the Formula 3 Championship, of course, Nicholas Solov. And we often do see it at this stage of the year. Either drivers feel they're not going to get the end result they want in their Formula 2 campaign, or take opportunities elsewhere in motorsport, and then leave the door open for drivers to get just a bit of a jump start on next season's Formula 2 racing. And we do see it really as beneficial to drivers who take the opportunity to jump in for the final couple of rounds and hit the ground running on their 26th season.
Yeah, he becomes the first Bulgarian to race in Formula 2, and he's got a lot of support coming from back home. As you mentioned, 2nd place for him in Formula 3 as well. Had some great results this season, as we now pick up James Wharton. This is going to be a great experience for him ahead of his Formula 3 campaign next year. Lots of times now flicking in. Victor Martins is our leader ahead of Luke Browning. Ollie Gertler is in 3rd place, but Fornaroli setting the times. But here is James Wharton. This an interesting decision for him. He's going to just take the opportunity to have a run in Formula 2 ahead of his Formula 3 campaign next season.
It's a taste of a Formula 2 car, and I hope he's been drinking his protein shake, because it's 27 degrees out there currently. Track temp is 39 degrees. There are 16 corners here. Guess how many braking zones there are that would be considered large? That's over 4G. None. There are none. So that is an extreme track to be jumping into a Formula 2 car for the first time in a physical sense. Power steering not available, of course, in these cars, as it is in Formula 3, but the level of downforce and the level of power are massively different in Formula 2. So it's a weekend not only to get on top of the car, which is moving much more swiftly than the one that you've been driving, and a power delivery that's far different, as demonstrated by Lawrence Van Hoopen there, who explores all manner of surface available at the Lusail circuit. But also the physical challenge of these cars is never quite so acute as around here.
This is the turn 8-9 section that's catching them out. They're very fast. You come out of turn 7, then into this flick. 8 into 9, the left-right seems to be catching a lot of drivers out in this early part of practice.
Rear tyre really heating up, as we often see, and then eventually giving up as they lean on it more and more. Of course, the inertia of the car wanting to go one way, then you've got to get it back across the road to slow and turn for turn 10. And a snap of oversteer. We've got an incident involving Trident being noted. Operational personnel, which is an interesting one. Maybe they are in the wrong place, or sometimes we see that there are too many of them in a place they're not supposed to be. A little bit of gravel on the racetrack down there on the exit of turn 9, which I think is going to be a factor, isn't it, throughout this weekend? Yeah,
we saw Van Hoopen going off there, didn't we? Gabriele Mini, who's making his debut here, went off there as well. He had a spell in Formula 2 last year, but it was just at Baku where he filled in for Ollie Behrman. We're picking up Jack Crawford, who is yet to set a representative time in this session. Is that about to change now? It looks like it will. He's gone personal best round the final corner. He had a podium finish in the sprint race, the feature race. He collided with Rafael Villagomez, which ruined any chance for him to put reasonable points on the board, and he goes P8 so far.
Through the single DRS zone available around the circuit between turn 16 and turn 1. Everywhere else is DRS closed. Nice little toe there for Jack Crawford. And you can see already there for Richard Shaw how much he's having to get out of it through the middle corner of 4 and 5, with that left front tyre starting to fall away already. This is a circuit that really focuses in on that left front tyre and damages it, because saying he's going through a long closing radius right-hander doesn't really narrow it down around here. So many of the corners are like that tyre scrubbing across the road. And you can just see with the temperature out on track how much Shaw is already struggling with the balance.
Yellow flag briefly out somewhere. It's quickly brought back in again for Richard Shaw. This a weekend where he needs to qualify very well. He could do with a pole position here as he now heads through this triple right-hander, and you can see how he's just having to balance the car there, and then into the left-hander here. See that gravel trap on the exit, comes at you very quick, and now we're into the final corner.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the pit lane relatively swiftly, giving the team a little bit of feedback on that one. That looks tough to drive through the middle sector of the racetrack. Alex Dunn managing to find a better first sector though out there. You can see that Fornaroli improving his own middle sector as we jump on board with him, rounding the final corner of the racetrack with a little bit better balance underneath, it must be said, than Vachon appeared to have.
Yeah, Alex Dunn is going even quicker, and look at that, it's close at the top. Is less than a tenth of a second, less than half a tenth of a second to make that between the top three. Right, let's pick up Alex Dunn coming up towards the final corner now, and he looks quick out of the penultimate corner. Does the Irishman, he heads up now towards the final corner. Does Alex Dunn out of the final corner now? Will this be good enough to put the Rodin Motorsport driver at the top? There comes the DRS Open P6. It is for Alex Dunn, but he's only 3.5 tenths back. It's close between those top 6 drivers.
It is incredibly close out there, given how little running they've had. This is the second time Formula 2 has visited Qatar. Let's see what's going to go on with Alex Dunn. This looks to be relatively early in the lap. That's late on in the lap, that final corner, isn't it? And he's just having a bit of a swapper through the mid-corner of turn 16. The blue line of doom is on the outside of turn 16. They're demonstrated in turn 15 by Victor Martins.
That exit is going to be causing several problems. Let's take a look at Richard Vachon now. What's he got up to? Same thing. The exit, the extra gravel traps here are going to cause numerous amounts of problems. I hope everybody realises that.
Got to be really careful going into that final corner, but that might be where we see qualifying decided. You could gain quite easily a tenth of a second through turn 16 if you're willing to take the risk and push it right towards the blue line. Meanwhile, you could lose half a tenth. It could be the difference. If we're looking at the top 3 there, that could be the difference in what's put Luke Browning quicker than Leo Fornaroli.
A massively challenging qualifying session here, it must be said. And never have the words "don't overreact to free practice," which echo around every feeder series paddock after the free practice session every weekend, been truer than when you free practice at 2:05 in the afternoon. Your qualifying session is on the soft compound tyre at 7:10 in the evening.
Yeah.
The difference in track and air temperature between those two incidences and total grip is one of the biggest of the year here.
Yeah.
So all of these balance difficulties you're seeing out on track might well be as a result of teams putting the car out on track in a way they know worked last year for the functional sessions, being the races.
Big snap for Victor Martins mid-corner. He's really fighting for control of that car. At the moment, Luke Browning's fastest 1:39.285 from Vachon, Fornaroli. Now Stanek goes ahead into 3rd position.
For this session, and actually giving yourself a car which is not aggressive enough when there's more grip on the road in qualifying later on.
This practice session is, as you mentioned, effectively what we're going to have for the feature race. Qualifying is what we're going to have for the sprint race. We jump on board with the Shaw coming up towards turn 11. This very tricky part of the lap, got to be full commitment.
This area of the circuit, flat out in a Formula 1 car, which gives you, on a new set of tyres at least, which gives you a sense of the difference in total downforce level between Formula 1 and Formula 2 downshift there through the final part of turn 14 for Richard Vachon. Still struggling with that rear tyre through the mid-corner of turn 16, moving around underneath him, crosses the line with 3 green sectors and a better time, but still having to really wrestle the car through that final sector.
Fornaroli next to come up, and amongst those top 5, he's leading the championship fight. He will come across the line next. Just checking in, see where the new faces are as well. Solov is down in 16th. We've got Wharton in 13th place as Leo Fornaroli comes across the line now, and we'll go P2. So we've got 3 of the top 5 in the championship, 1, 2 and 3. Let's check in now with Victor Martins. This was the moment we saw him go slightly wide there, going through turn 14.
have got slightly wide, just troubled that gravel trap once more. That's how aggressive those curbs are through the exit of most of those long right-handers as well, and you see it putting the energy through the car. Josh Dirksen sitting in the pit lane without a time that he would consider representative, I don't think, on the ball at the moment. Also, Jack Crawford languishing somewhat down there, 1.7 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, and it's been something that he's just seemed a little bit off the pace so far in this session, hasn't he? Jack Crawford, is that going to change as we go through? Kushmaini, likewise, his teammate down in 15th. Nikola Solov having his first feel of Formula 2 down in 17th, but he's got a couple of rounds to get used to this. Then we will go to post-season testing, Alex, where so far we have 13 drivers confirmed on the grid for next season, which we talked about this a little bit before we went on air. Quite a few names already confirmed for next season, and the grid is looking very exciting. While we have some drivers heading into the pit lane, let's take the opportunity to just preview some of those names that we're going to have entering the grid for next season. 9 of the 11 teams have confirmed at least one driver. 4 teams have confirmed full lineups. Let's run through them before we talk through in a little more detail. So Invicta Racing have the Formula 3 champion Rafa Kamara going to them. Joshua Dirksen, who we've just seen in pit lane, will be his teammate. Campos Racing have Noel Leon stepping up from Formula 3 from Prema, and Nicholas Solov, the runner-up from Formula 3, likewise, who's here racing. Dams Lucas Oil, Dino Beganovic will return there, having made his debut with them here last year. And Roman Belinsky, who raced in Formula 3 with Rodin. At AIX, Emo Fittipaldi will graduate from Eurocup 3, and Kean Shields will stay. High-Tech TGR, Colton Herter will make his way overseas from IndyCar to race in Formula 2. Prema Racing, Mari Boyer finished on the championship podium in Formula 3 with Campos. ART Grand Prix to Sanapo and Trapubizak. Very strong end to his Formula 3 season with Campos, the Thai driver. Rodin, Martin Estention, we mentioned that he did a great job in Formula 3, finished 5th, and he is going to be competing with them next season. And Van Amersfoort, Nico Verone, who raced in the World Endurance Championship this season in Hypercar with Proton Competition, is going to race with them. MP, Motorsport and Trident, yet to announce any drivers. What do you make of that, Alex Brundle?
I think it's very early to have so many drivers signed up, and it just gives you a sense of how competitive it is for the leading seats in Formula 2 to try to get themselves in the best possible position to deliver through next year. It shocks me always at this stage of the year how aggressive the competition is to get yourself in one of those 2 seats in the leading teams. For example, the Invicta of which Leonardo Fornaroli is sitting in right now and hitting P1, which would be very heartening for them on the pit wall, and indeed him, as he runs into what is an incredibly important weekend in his campaign. But yeah, a stacked field already. And if you're one of those drivers still without a berth for next year, you'll be looking at that list thinking, right, me, my management team, everyone needs to be getting on with this. Because there's the seats are disappearing fast.
We've got an IndyCar driver heading over. We've got a driver from the World Endurance Championship who is coming over as well. And we've got a World Rally champion who has made his intent that he wants to come onto the grid in 2027. We'll make that clear that he's made it his intent. He's going to be racing in another single-seater category next year. I mean, Formula 2 at the moment is incredibly exciting.
It is an interesting thing as well about Formula 2. We have a little bit of it in the current grid. I would point at drivers who've done a little bit of sports car racing like Sebastian Montoya, or drivers who've come from GT500, like Rotoma Miata making their way to the grid. You do get a sort of confluence of other different series coming to have their shot at Formula 1 racing, or indeed coming up through the normal route like Nicholas Solov has.
Yeah, he's come up from Formula 3, as you mentioned, was a runner-up in that this season with Campos, and he'll stay with them for the last 2 rounds. Let's hear what he had to say about stepping up into Formula 2.
Yeah, I'm really excited, to be honest, to be coming in a bit earlier than we thought. Obviously, it was something I didn't expect. In Baku, I was thinking I would just come again here just to watch. But yeah, being here to race is very useful, I think, because I don't know the track here and in Abu Dhabi. So I think it's really good experience already for next year. The pit stops, tires, actually trying the real car. So I'm looking forward to it. I feel prepared, and yeah, I just can't wait.
Really great to have Nikola Solov joining us. Did such a superb job in Formula 3. He went into Formula 3 at a very young age as well. Jumped in as the Spanish F4 champion and then spent a few seasons in Formula 3, so he'll feel very well prepared now coming into Formula 2, having spent 3 seasons in F3.
And a sense there of the amount these drivers gain, not just from having a test of the car, which they of course will get to do. Roman Stanek very wide there through turn 15. They're really pushing through that section of the racetrack. It definitely seems to be the 14 exit and 15 exit where drivers are kicking up that gravel. But Solov saying, you know, I get to do a pit stop here, not in practice, not at an empty pit lane at a test somewhere, but I get to do it against all the others, with all the furniture in the pit lane, under pressure, racing with other drivers over the position. And you really can't replace that in terms of gaining that experience, which is why drivers do come to do what he's done this year. And in many ways, they, of course, look to get good results. They often do get good results when they jump in a Formula 2 car late in the season. But it's kind of more about getting an understanding of what they need to do next year, so those rookie errors don't happen when they're on the clock, really, as we know, in their first season of Formula 2 racing, and everybody's watching them try to progress through to Formula 1.
Joshua Dirksen running wide there out of turn 15. You've done races with pit stops. How is it the first time you do it? Let's have this replay first of Alex Dunn. That's a big swapper going into turn 14.
Didn't know they had that much lock.
And this is going to be into 15.
Roman Stanek saw that live a few moments ago. It's certainly the rear tyre which they're leaning on, and then it's starting to just fall away. Van Hoopen joined the series back in Baku, continues to gain as much experience as he can at a rather rotational Trident lineup throughout this season, but he'll be another driver that gets the opportunity to sample the car.
Yeah, we've got James Wharton in for this round. We'll see if that continues on, or if we see another new face for the season finale. I was going to go back to the question I was going to mention there, Alex. You've done races with pit stops. What is it like the first time you come into the pit lane live in a race? It's got to be great experience for the likes of Van Hoopen had it at Baku, but James Wharton's going to have it this weekend. Nikola Solov's going to have it this weekend. What's that going to be like for those guys?
That was a long time ago, Chris. The first time I came in for it's a little bit bizarre to have to stop in the pit lane and have things done to the car that you're driving while you're sort of still driving. It's something that really doesn't really happen that much of the time. Imagine going through a hand car wash or a car wash and you're still sat in the car, but actually they're not doing that. They're taking the wheels off and filling it full of petrol. Yeah, slightly bizarre the first time. You're very conscious of not injuring your mechanics because there are so many people around the car. You're not used to driving a racing car or any car that fast in that sort of proximity to people. So yeah, a really, really bizarre sense. You tend to see the drivers the first couple of times before they do it jump in for the test where they push the car in to do pit stop practice as James Wharton goes for a bit of a spin. Is that the exit to turn 15?
I believe so.
Yeah. You tend to see the drivers sitting in the car while they do pit stop practice just to get a feel for what that might be like. But yeah, you can never really replace the first time you do it. You've got to remember as well, by the time you first do it in a race, you've rolled in free practice a couple of times and changed a few tyres as well. So you tend to practice your pit entries, your pit exits, and the whole process as though you were racing all of the time, just to give yourself a feel for when it is racing and take the edge off that experience. But there's nothing that quite replicates what it's like to do it when everything's on the line in a race.
It's especially if you get a busy pit lane, which we had here last year when Kimi Antonelli had a collision with Verschoor coming out of the pits, broke his steering. We had a safety car, and then everyone hurtled into the pits, and we had a very busy pit lane, which can often happen in Formula 2. The strategy this year, though, might be slightly different with this compound change. It's going to be hard and soft, so that's a big compound jump. For the feature race, it's going to be a little bit different.
I'm intrigued, actually, because the winning strategy last year, Paul Aaron, in the feature race, 7 laps, which is the lowest number of laps you can reasonably do on the option tyre, which was the medium as opposed to the soft last year, then ran the rest of the feature race on the hard compound tyre. So I think they might be limping the soft a little bit through to even the minimum number of laps completed, and then jumping onto the hard at the earliest possible opportunity. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in a feature race, of course, which is in the heat of the day, just as this free practice session.
It should also be said, in the sprint race, you will get the chance, if there's a late safety car, to charge through, to do what Richard Verschoor did at Barcelona, and make a late pit stop if there's a safety car in the last 8 laps. Come in, put set soft tyres on, charge through, and get into the top 3 positions, or win the race as he did. And Villagomez got on the podium that day as well, went in with him. So we could see some things happen in a sprint race if there is a late safety car. Someone like the new faces, James Watt and Nicholas Olive, it would be worth them having a go at that.
Be within touching distance of the line, aren't you?
Yeah. It's worth putting out there. It's worth putting out.
But yeah, the difference, as you say, Chris, the difference in performance that time can be absolutely huge as we follow. Alex Dunn makes his way through turn 7, 8, 9, and then slows the car for turn 10. Technical but flowing section of racetrack that. Turn 11 is a drive-through left-hander for this high-speed challenge. Turns 12, 13 and 14, accuracy required. Tyres already screaming at you by this stage. You can see the car bottom out and touch the road as he makes his way through the mid-corner of turn 13. That'll be one of the limitations of ride height for that road in around the racetrack. And then all of a sudden, 1 corner to go. Another long radius right-hander, and could Alex Dunn have been a little bit wide of the racetrack there? Could well have been 6/10 down on his previous best. Luke Browning had a better lap in the can until he spilt the can all over turn 15.
Yes, that's a shame, but he's got the time in the back. I was actually very intrigued to see where he was going to put that. He did a fastest middle sector overall. And Luke Browning is now going to have to go again. I was just about to pick up on the fact that Fornaroli 2/10 clear of the rest of the field, but that might have changed. Let's have a look back at the replay of this one then. Through 14, into 15 we go. Luke Browning tips it in, and there it goes.
Just barely turned the steering wheel there. Just auto-rotated as he had a look at turn 15, didn't it? Rear tyre cried enough. And they'll be looking to try to manage that. If the track doesn't come to them, it's so tricky to drive a car over a race distance where the rear just won't come with you like that. Especially around a track like this with cars with this much downforce. You can't float the rear of a car like this for lap on lap on lap. Eventually you will make a mistake. So Browning will be giving that feedback to the team. When I do a couple of laps consecutively, the rear will no longer come with me. You've got to have confidence to be able to race the cars around you and stay close.
Yeah. That's going to change in the race as well, isn't it? Well, you know, you're in the pack. it's going to become even more difficult to control that.
You've got to make a decision as to the way the tyre is going to degrade. If you're convinced as the driver you're going to lose that left front tyre, which is a reasonable assessment around here, then you might have to set the car up early on with just that little bit of oversteer, so that when that left front tyre falls away, then the car comes into balance through the race distance. If, though, you're just going to overheat the rear tyre as a result of that, then you have to set the car up to be stable enough to come with you. So that's where teams have to advise young drivers, particularly the rookies, on the previous years of how the car has progressed through the race stint, to give them a feel for where they need to start, and then make that compromise so that you might have, for example, a bit of oversteer at the start of the stint, a bit of understeer at the end of the stint, and then balance in the middle of the stint to give you the best compromise. You're never going to have a car that's perfectly balanced throughout a racing stint, but as a driver you can start to affect how the tyres degrade.
Absolutely. Here we can see Arvid Lindblad making his way around. He's had a impressive run at times this season. You think back to Barcelona in particular, where we saw him get pole position there and go on to take the victory, and he's been impressing the guys at Red Bull, hasn't he? And that's been the biggest part of his season so far. You come into this championship as a Red Bull junior, we saw him go a little bit wide there. Sounded like there was some activity behind, from what I heard in my ear. But Arvid Lindblad, when you come into this championship as a Red Bull junior, there's a lot of pressure on you. Isaac Hadjar dealt with that very well, and he got the rewards for it. Arvid Lindblad's been doing exactly the same, and it seems rewards could be coming his way.
Lindblad, for me, in exactly the position Hadjar was, where he's waiting in the wings now at Red Bull, a driver just outside championship contention. On 109 points, has had his moments through this year, and your ears don't lie.
I thought I heard something.
Spectacular. Well held, actually, in the end.
It was.
Real grass for 10 points? I doubt it.
Yeah. This was the one we saw live. Lindblad just got away with that one. But let's talk more about the driver on our screen. It is tough, isn't it? I mean, when you are a Red Bull junior, you know what's at the end for you, and as you get closer and closer, the pressure becomes more and more, and he's dealt with that very well.
Exactly, but we know Red Bull's attitude to that.
Yeah.
Red Bull's attitude to that, I don't think has changed with Laurent Mekies taking the helm of the main team, which is that if you can't manage the pressure of maybe being a Red Bull driver in Formula One, then you definitely won't be able to handle the pressure of definitely being a Red Bull driver in Formula One.
Yeah.
So in some ways, the pressure that they feel here is a dress rehearsal for the greater pressure that they'll feel when they're being expected to firstly perform in the RB in order to get in the main team, and then secondly, win Grand Prix for Red Bull Racing, which is what they expect from their racing drivers.
I think people have to remember as well, he made his single-seater debut. It was at the Red Bull Ring in 2022, I believe it was. It was not a long time ago at all. I remember actually seeing him that morning before he made his debut in a car, and he's been accelerated through the process. He competed for the Italian F4 Championship, then won in Macau that year, then competed in Formula 3, where he took what was at the time a record equaling 4 wins, including the double at Silverstone, then jumped into Formula 2. So he's gone through the ranks incredibly quickly, as that gravel trap is starting to be used quite a lot now.
Yeah, the gravel trap is not exactly being the most competitive or cooperative aspect of this circuit out there. We'll still see what they're going to do shortly. 3 minutes to go then. Fularoli, then Dina Boganovic, Browning, Stanak, Goethe, Lindblad, Verschoor, Alexander Dunn, Crawford, Montoya up in 10th position as well. Boganovic in second at 139, 108. 44 thousandths off of Fularoli.
He lost out to track limits there. Let's see what Solov has been doing. That looks like it might be the next corner, turn 15, where drivers are really committing early, aren't they, to the exit curve?
Yeah. I think once you know you're going to lose it there, it's avoid the gravel trap. Oh, there we go.
But they seem to be able to keep their foot in.
Right.
Through the exit of turn 14. They're still going to have to be watching out for track limits there. It's worth mentioning that these moments where they're going over the gravel are still getting picked up as well by race control as track limits offences. So there may be drivers that continue over the gravel, get a lap in, but then still lose that lap because it wasn't completed within the track limits. So.
Looks like Goethe just jumped up to P5. Villa Gomez is up to P6. Championship-wise, this is looking very good for Fornaroli. Beganovic within half a tenth of him. Then it's Browning. So High-Tech are having a very solid session here as Alex Dunn now goes to P3. He'll be happy with that one. Vishaw in 8th. Crawford in P10. He'll be disappointed with that. Well, Jack Crawford, he'll want to be much higher. For Fornaroli, he's come here as the championship leader, and he's driving like one in practice already.
He really is. He's out front of the field, wanting to lay a marker down. It's a bit of a better session, though, than earlier on for Crawford, who finds his way back into the top 10. Looked like he was having difficulty at the beginning. He definitely doesn't have the speed that Fornaroli has. Of those championship contenders, I think it's probably Browning who is the one who looks next up to Fornaroli at this stage, and in fact potentially a lap in there to put him in a better position than Fornaroli if he can if he can keep the car out of the gravel in the final couple of corners. A lot of traffic through the last couple of corners of the lap as well here, look, which could be a factor for qualifying.
It should be said as well, if he gets pole position and wins, then it would put the rest of the field in quite a dangerous position here. He could go and win the championship this weekend if he extends his lead to 40 points. He currently has a lead of 19, and maybe that's what Fornaroli can see in his sights, because he is just looking more and more comfortable as we go along here. It's something that could happen come the feature race. You score 28 points if you can get pole, win, and fastest lap. That's even if you don't score in the sprint race, and that's what Fornaroli will be going for as he goes comfortably fastest from the rest of the field, and that is a statement lap time from championship leader Leo Fornaroli.
There he is. Jump on board with Luke Browning. 13 points would be the figure that Fornaroli might outscore Luke Browning by this weekend, which would put Browning out of championship contention. If Fornaroli outscores Crawford by 21 points, for sure by 3 points, then that'd be it this weekend here in Qatar. 40 points would do it.
Oh, and there we go. There goes a spin for Luke Browning.
Yep, spinning, coming out of the last corner, third place in the championship, looping it around with a 360. Beganovic was caught up in that as the checker flag comes out. He goes up into second position on a 1:38.760. Fornaroli has, however, gone fastest, 1:38.656 to go top at the moment. So let's just take a look then. So Browning getting on the power, he flicks the car in, watch the rear, listen in. Down third gear, too much curb, front flips around, too much power, round it goes. Really not to get beat on that little bit of gravel trap, but it's just the gravel at the exit here. The track's already going to need sweeping before we can even get into the next session, ready for the following. This is going to be quite an interesting one. The checker flag is out though. Fornaroli ahead of Beganovic, Alexander Dunn, Browning, Stanek for sure, Goethe, Stenshaw, Villa Gomez, Crawford the top 10, Maney ahead of Bennett, Montoya, Martins, Miata, Lindblad, Mini, Solov, Shields, Dursken, Wharton and Van Hopen down in 22nd position. Villa Gomez off track, turn 14. Everyone going wide at the exit here. It's going to be one of those days you feel that it's just going to be slightly harder. Get the flags out for the track to have its practice starts.
For them, looking to do back-to-back championships, and Leo Fornaroli leading practice and leading it fairly comfortably over his championship rivals. Dino Beganovic, the one who got closest to him, and set a good lap time, which will give High Tech some encouragement. But Luke Browning struggling at the end there. Alex Dunn third, Roman Stanek fifth, Richard Verschoor down in P6 with work to do, Ollie Goethe seventh. Well done to Martini Stenshorn, looking quick once again in just his second appearance. Villa Gomez ninth, and Jack Crawford, he has work to do as well, down in P10.
Decent session, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dino Beganovic, Ferrari Junior driver, has had a rich vein of form recently. Great results in Baku, winning the sprint, third place in the feature. Looks like Alex Dunn was trying to get back out on the racetrack, was he? Given the green light at the end of the pit lane now.
Yeah. I don't know if Alex Dunn's...
And I don't hear the textbook burble of a Formula 2 car there. So the marshal says, "You going to go, mate, or not?" And Alex Dunn goes, "Yeah, I need to fire up the engine first, I'm afraid."
Of P3 for him, he'll take some encouragement for that. Miney 11th, Bennett's 12th, Montoya, Martins, Miata, Mini, Lindblad, Solov in 18th, then Shields, Dirksen, Wharton, Van Houten 21st and 22nd, and here comes support for Alex Dunn. But all looking good for Leo Fornaroli so far. Drivers being tested by a high-speed Qatar circuit there. And I don't know if we have drivers getting ready to head back to support pit lane, maybe. Not support paddock, I think that's what it is. And I think Alex Dunn may have had trouble with the engine because they are based in a different part of the paddock. But overall, all looking good for Fornaroli.
Yeah, looking extremely good for Leonardo Fornaroli. The dream start to this campaign-ending pair of weekends, campaign-defining pair of weekends, as Alex Dunn gets fired up and makes his way out of the pit lane. Should really be in the working lane if they're going to do any manner of work to the car. I wonder if, they're just trying to make their way back to the support pit lane, and that's Martini Stenshorn, who
he stopped as well.
Potentially unsure of the route, maybe, and stopped and has lost the engine on the way back to the pit lane.
Okay, that is a little bit weird for Martin Stenshorn. He is sideways on the start-finish straight. So I don't think I've seen that before when he's not meant to be. That is the route back into the ulterior pit lane. It's just weird that he's gone in that direction and he hasn't sort of looped it back around. Okay, slightly confused how that's happened.
The cars looked, yes, there's not been a lot of running on the track. Pretty windy out there as well, but they looked really tough to drive, tougher than I've seen for a good while. So it's going to be all about now who gets their head around the balance of the car to deliver a qualifying lap where they should have much more grip and a better track condition later on, but more importantly, delivers race performance lap on lap around this track, which challenges the tyre thermally and in terms of wear.
Will that change anything? The fact that the qualifying session will be so different. We've only had a Porsche session go out, then it's Formula 2. The fact that we will have an F1 session go out, the track's going to be a lot different. Will that? Can we read anything into that?
I mean, always. It's the only information that the teams have. So they'll have to work from that. They'll be trying not to overreact. P1 is not a bad place to be in free practice when you lead the Formula 2 Championship. So that is definitely a tick in the box for Fornaroli.
Fornaroli on top from Beganovic and Alexander Dunn. Browning, Stanek, Verschoor, Goethe, Stenshorn, Villagomez and Crawford round out the top 10. Moving further down, we get Kushmani ahead of Bennett, Montoya, Martins, Miata, Mini, Lindblad, Solov, Shields, Dursken, Wharton and Van Houten in last position. Well, not long to go until we're underway again here. Next up, it is the F1 and their first and only practice session ahead of the weekend, live here from the Losail International Circuit. That's at 1:15 UK time. Then at 4 o'clock, we've got all the action, the F2 qualifying, and the F1 sprint shootout is at 5:15. They're all UK times. Interesting first session. I wonder what's going to happen next. We'll find out later. Thanks for your company. We'll see you soon as the track cleanup begins ahead of F1. We go into the lunch break. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.